Hi, I'm Frank and welcome to my podcast, The Ride of a Lifetime. On this podcast, I share my personal journey through the ups and downs of building successful businesses. Each episode, I dive into the different aspects of my life, from overcoming business challenges, starting a family, and designing my own cutting-edge carbon fiber e-bike. I hope this podcast can inspire and motivate listeners to take the leap and chase their dreams. Get ready for an exciting journey through the cycles of success with me and some of my friends I have made along the way. Some people may not know that before we started Hybrid Bikes, I had a long entrepreneurial history, with one starting up being in the solar PV industry. I later sold that company to recover from a cancer operation, but this episode explores the journey. Enjoy. So then I got onto my next little venture, which was a solar PV company. So we called it Solar Electric Technology. And I done this with a great guy called Lance. So what we did, because we worked, he already helped in the solar technology part of it. So we got to know each other really, really well, and we had really similar values, which is working hard and providing great customer service. So that one day we thought, well, why don't we do business together? And we go 50-50, and he was good. He had that low voltage electrician background, which I didn't have. So, but I had the skills, putting systems, the panels on the roof and all that kind of. So we really it was a perfect match, really. So we started this solar PV business, and because we both had the background in solar water heating, it meant we had good contacts to people who already had solar water and may wanted to add solar PV to it, because the price came down, and it just was like a no-brainer for some people to lower the power bill even further. So we built a new website and we started this business, and it was great. We again done a similar thing what we done with the solar water heating, traveling the country up and down and installing solar PV. And what we did as well, we did quite a lot of off-grid, which was something Lance was really good at. And so we went to really remote places and did the solar PV. And because it was like with every business, and again another startup, every sale counted. So we had repeat customers which had solar water heating somewhere in Otago, for example, and they said, "Hey Frank, you done that solar water heating, I'm living in Otago now, can you do a solar PV?" So sure thing, we quoted, and we got quite a few good jobs, and we went down to Otago. Like one person said, "Well, I need 2 systems in Invercargill." Like, God, but we want a job. Well, what do? We jump in the car and we went down to Invercargill. So whatever it took, we took on whatever it took. Any job we got, we did. And we built a really good business. We had good relationships with our suppliers, and now it was really, really good to do that with Lance. And we had that for quite some time, but then the time came when I had some big changes, when I had got diagnosed with cancer. And this kind of really wasn't really a good time for me, because it derailed me a little bit. I wasn't yet that if you got the big C coming and people tell you got cancer, it's certainly not a really nice experience. And I don't know, it didn't really, it messed me up a little bit. So I wasn't really as focused anymore as I was before. We still did good work and stuff and everything, but kind of it wasn't doing good things for me. So but I carried it with me, and I thought, well, let's see what's going to happen. And I tried to sort of get on top of it. And we're reading a lot about how can you slow it down. You can never beat it without any doing chemo or whatever. But you can change your diet. So I looked and studied this, and sugar is certainly a big contributor if you got cancer. So you shouldn't really have a lot of sugar. So they said in the research I done. So I've been looking at it, and I thought, okay, let's see what I can do with cutting out all the things which aren't good for you. So I done that, and I done a lot of running on the treadmill, and I lost a lot of weight. But I thought, well, let's see if I can beat that thing, and it looked promising, because I had a PSA of 9.6, and by doing all the exercise, running like crazy on the treadmill, and not having coffees anymore, cut the sugar out. Like, when you look at it, to be honest, just about everything got sugar in it. So I left a lot of things out which had sugar in it. You couldn't entirely live without sugar, because just about everything got sugar. But for whatever reason, my PSA dropped, and it dropped quite a bit. And when I went to my doctor and I said, hey, look at this. And he said, what did you do? And I said, well, I just changed my diet and did a little sport. And I thought, well, maybe it is possible to actually, beat it. But it wasn't. It was a terrible lifestyle, because a lot of things I used to eat, loved to eat, I couldn't. And I couldn't imagine myself carrying on like this for the rest of my life, because I lost so much weight, I couldn't lose any more. But then suddenly it spiked again. And when it spiked, it was pretty evident that whatever I did didn't really work, and why it dropped, God knows. So there was really only one way, and it's really getting it dealt with. And so I was lucky that I had early stage prostate cancer, and I had options what to do. So, but none of them are good, and all of them had risks. So I explored that with the chemo and the little bullets you can insert, and operations, and getting a robot. And so I had a variety of options to choose from. But what do you do? It's like, what do you do? And what appealed to me was a robot, because if you got chemo or those little bullets you can insert, then you can only do that once, really. Those bullets, you can't have an operation after. So yeah, it wasn't easy, but I opted for the operation. So, but when it's gonna do it, when do I do it? That's just a thing, because we still were busy, but there was a time where we weren't flat out with our business, and I was really fortunate that I had private insurance. And when we had that gap in our workload, and when I thought this is an opportunity to actually get it done, and it was 2 years, I think 2 years after I had it, they found it in me, I just booked myself in and had that operation. So after talking to the surgeon about a robot and doing it by hand, he pointed out that yes, a robot could be better, but ultimately the robot still has somebody sitting on the end and actually operating it. And he said, you can pick whatever you want, but to be honest, I done so many operations, and so I can do a pretty good job. So yes, so I'd had it done in Nelson by a surgeon, and came home. It was okay. Was everything perfect? No, but it's pretty good. So, and up to the day, and it never came back. In touch wood, hopefully it will stay away. But it certainly was clear that I have to change something, and talking to the doctors, and because I've done so many things, like running a business and still working for the Chinese full time beforehand. So I always pushed myself to the limit, I always had that workaholic instinct, which sort of it started to I become aware of in the engineering days, when I realized that if you work hard and you work long hours, you make more money. And if you make more money, you can pay your bills, and you go ahead in life. So I never dropped that attitude, and I pushed myself to the limit. But people advised me that there is a limit, and right now I should slow down a bit. And what I did slow down. I sold my share in the business, and I took a year off. And in that year, I just thought, what do I do next? And so, and we had a house. We wanted to sell our house to build our dream, which was an energy positive house, which, you go onto sites when you try to sell your solar you got for sale, and everybody sort of thought, oh yeah, you must have all sort of solar. But in fact, we had some solar on our roof, but the house wasn't perfect. And you can't have a perfect solar system if you haven't got the perfect house for it. And so we wanted to create that perfect house, which was an energy positive house, which meant we generate more energy than we need. And that was the dream. So in that year, one of our tasks was to just get on with that and fulfill our dream. So we had to sell our house first, and then rented a place, and then built this one. And when I had the time off, I just repainted the house and did all sort of little jobs around the house to make the house sellable. And I really calmed down. So that it was a good year off to actually relax. And that was the time then when we focused on the new place, and when we rented, which was after we sold the place, our house we had then. It was the time to think about, what do I do next? So we had the time off, the new house is on its way, and time ticks past, and I should do something again. And I looked around, and I thought I may have a normal job, so to say, like from Monday to Friday, and be home at 4:30, and but I would have liked to have a management role job, something which I can add value to a business, because I learned so much in my own two businesses I had then, that I thought it would be nice to have a role, something similar to that, but work for somebody. But the fact was that I didn't find a job which I could take on, and I put out a lot of CVs, and I just couldn't believe that. I just couldn't believe that nobody offered me a job. And then eventually I got a job in a business, and the owner sort of had the ambition to eventually retire, and I was hired to sort of put fresh ideas into the business, but they actually didn't want to change anything. So after 3 months we part, because they decided they want to keep running the business themselves, and I had that frustration of not being able to do anything. I mean, you become a business manager, but you can't manage anything. So it was, I couldn't stick around, and so we part, which was okay. They changed their mind in the end and kept working it, but I might even still do it now. But I fell into kind of a black hole where I doubted myself if I'm not as good as I thought I would be, because I've done really amazing things. When I look back, I worked for the Chinese, I designed a great product, I sold a good business, I built another good business, I sold a business to my business partner, which was great. It is really, I've done a lot of cool things. I traveled the world for the Chinese. I established businesses out of New Zealand and Australia for them. But here, nobody seen the value in me, and that really frustrated me. But it kind of guided me in that direction. I have to do something myself again. That's the only way. So I ended up, funnily enough, watching all sort of entrepreneurial TV shows and kind of Dragon's Den, as you watch sometimes, and try to find an idea which I could turn into a business, because I had capital to invest. So, but you really easily use the money if you invested in just an idea. There had to be a purpose behind the business I wanted to do, but I didn't find anything. I don't know how many things I watched on TV, but nothing felt right to me to invest money in and turn it into a business. So as we got the house finished and we moved in, and we lived quite on a hill. So the day came when I thought, I should get fitter again, because at the end of the day I was unfit and I had to get some fitness. So living on a hill, it was just no way that I would have push biked up that hill on a normal bike. It was like, God, nah. So I played with that idea of an e-bike, and it was sort of a becoming a more of a fashionable thing at the time. It wasn't mainstream. They were still expensive, and there weren't that many around then. So I thought, might as well do my own, because I had the time, I got the connections, I had everything I needed to actually design an e-bike, apart from the skills. I wasn't a cyclist. So, but again, I thought, I can sort of learn that somehow, and that was the next business idea. So I thought I might build e-bikes, and what I did then was like, okay, I have the capital to start the business and create my own carbon fiber e-bikes, but it was really hard at the beginning. From the time I had that idea to the time I had the bikes, it was nearly a year. So it was again another year of potentially no income. So what I did, I rang my engineering mates I worked with before, and I said, hey, if you got some work, I want to sort of contract to you, and until I'm ready to sort of go full time in my e-bike business. And they said, yes, just come and go back, go and work on boats and do whatever you want to do. It's good. We have plenty of work for you. So I went back onto the tools for, I think it ended up for more than a year. And I kind of enjoyed it, because I knew that is a stepping stone to my next business. So it was an interim solution. And I met guys I haven't seen for a long time, because I haven't been on the tools in the engineering industry for a while. And it was great, and I had a good time. But when I got established into that e-bike business then, and I got my bikes and everything, and then I flared out again and done this full time. But it was interesting, the transition from the water heating into the PV business, into having a break, recovering from cancer, finding a new idea what I wanted to do, and then start from scratch again, which I didn't think I would have another business, another startup, because I knew it's incredibly hard to do a startup, and it takes a lot of hours, and I already done it twice, and I would be really, I know I can't slow myself down, because when I'm in it, I give it everything I got, and I ended up doing it all over again. But looking back, it was very rewarding to actually do it all again, because what I established now is bigger and better than what I ever had before. And I think the good thing is that I could implement all the things I learned along the way on this e-bike business now, and that probably helped make that a real success story. Thank you so much for watching my podcast. I hope some of you out there are inspired and motivated by it. Remember, anybody can do what I have done. It just takes courage, determination, and a bit of luck, which we all have. Now, go out there, enjoy the ride of your lifetime.